Heyoka from Team Liquid, and I'm at the WCS season finals, and I ran into none other than Blitz. How you doing?
Hello, I'm good.
So this is probably like maybe the fourth StarCraft event you've been to?
Yeah, I went to MLG Columbus when I was in college. I went to MLG Anaheim while I was still in college. And then I went to NASL, the one in Long Beach. That was absolutely terrible, no offense. Did you go to that?
I wasn't there.
It was like 50 people in an auditorium. And it was like they encouraged people to sit in the lower section so it looked more filled out. I don't want to sell out NASL because I worked out for them for a bit, but and then I went to MLG Anaheim again during it was like July, the most recent one.
Yeah. So I remember maybe a year and a half ago, after you went to your first StarCraft event, you said it was pretty fun, but it was kind of weird because you felt like a lot of the players were a little standoffish because there was big crowds and it was kind of like a strange dynamic. Do you think that still exists here, or do you think it's a little bit different now that you kind of know some of the Great Torp and them? And
yeah. The one thing I don't really like about esports is the celebrity culture. I like that before I started getting DDoSed, I like that I could just give people my Skype and anybody could add me and just chat me up, and I would not mind that at all. But now I have to be a lot more selective, and it's not because of growing fame, it's just because I don't want to get DDoSed. People still email me and all the time and tweet me, and I always try to message fairly long stuff back, and I feel like that's normal, right?
Yeah.
Somebody approaches you with the conversation, you talk back to them. Whereas I feel like a lot of these esports events, it's there's a really big dichotomy between players, personalities, casters, and then everybody else. And you sit on the outside looking in, and it's impossible to have a conversation with somebody if you're just a spectator looking to talk to a pro. You might get 5 words at most,
yeah.
Right? And then everyone's like, oh, that person's so nice. And I understand why, because these people probably get swamped by requests and stuff. But I still think that's a little bit weird that you can't just mingle anymore. There's a difference.
One thing I noticed about the Dota crowd is when I first started doing Dota stuff, it seemed like they were all just kind of this close-knit group of people,
yeah.
And everyone was very open with everyone else, and it was really easy to get to know people. But I feel a little bit as it's been getting bigger and as they've been getting a little more famous, they become a little bit more closed off and a little bit more standoffish. Do you think that's true at all, or is that something, do you think, has some merit?
I mean, I was a guy that was a relative nobody for a really long time, and I still kind of am. But for me to enter the Dota scene, it was really easy. I just started talking to people. Everyone was really nice. It didn't matter who it was. I remember in Dota 1 when Synderin was a big deal, he was casting with a guy named Mark Drav, and he was a player on OK. I would message him and he'd always respond. Very polite, very cordial, and I could do that with almost any player and I'd get an immediate response. I'd get an immediate response, but I don't feel the same is true of StarCraft in some respects. That's the one thing that kind of turned me off from the scene. I remember when I was an amateur StarCraft player and I was playing a lot, I would try to have conversations with people. After my game, I'd play against some pros and be like, hey, what do you think went wrong and stuff like that, and none of them would ever give me the time of day. Some would even go out of their way to flame me and block me, and I was just okay, buddy,
This is fucked up.
yeah. I was you play a game, relax, man.
So I don't think a ton of people know that you have a fairly decent history in StarCraft. You were actually pretty good. Do you want to talk just a little bit about that? You were pretty highly ranked for a while, but I don't think a lot of people know that.
Yeah. When I was 8, I went to Korea for the first time, and my cousin didn't want to hang out with me because he was 8 years older than me. So this is literally what he did. He throws me in a PC bong, where it's a PC cafe, and he's he puts in 6 hours, literally, and he just leaves me there, and he lies to our aunt. He's yeah, I hung out with him, I took him to the movies and everything, but he just wanted to hang out with the girl. And I discovered my love for StarCraft, but my parents were super Korean, they didn't let me. And then around the time I was, the movie Beer Fest? When that movie came out, the very first day, my sister's ex-boyfriend took me to play Dota, at a LAN cafe.
It must have been a big day of your life if you remember the exact moment.
Saw Beer Fest and I had Chili's for the first time after, and it was the worst meal of my life. Because their chicken things look like little fried guinea pigs, and I couldn't get over that. And so I asked the waitress, I was can you cut this up for me so it looks less like a fried guinea pig?
You had the waitress cut it up for you? Mom, I need you to dice mine.
I was I can't do this myself, because it felt like I was cutting into animal flesh. And then I was hooked on Dota. Like, I just played for like 4 hours, and I was hooked. And after my SATs, my mom finally bought me a computer, and I got Warcraft 3, and I was playing Dota like all the time. And then when I went to college, I was planning on quitting, but my roommates, actually, I hosted a LAN game to play against bots, and a bunch of people joined.
They just like randomly saw it?
They were all from like the floor, and I was like, okay, and I continued to play in esports. And then as Dota 1 started to die, and I didn't know Dota 2 was going to come out or anything like that, I picked up StarCraft. I played for about 2.5 months. I got to high masters on the Korean ladder, thanks to a lot of help from people like Scarlet, who I knew from Dota, that would like watch my stream and be like, you need to do this better and that better, and stuff like that was really helpful. And then I kind of really liked the StarCraft scene.
It's a good story. So you're going to Korea pretty soon to play Dota there. You want to talk a little bit about kind of how that happened, and you wrote a pretty big blog on TL that explains kind of you decided to have this big life-changing move to like pursue your dream.
I've only left the country twice, and both times was to go to Korea, and I was like scared out of my mind. I was like, do I really want to do this? I had actually run into Febby from FXO while going to the bathroom. It was like so serendipitous. And I was like, hey, like pick me up. I want to go to Korea, as a joke. And he was like, okay. And I was like, well, all right then.
Did you know who you were at that point?
Yeah. And then we started talking, and eventually things got a little bit more serious. It sounds like we're in a committed relationship. But what ended up happening was...
You went steady with him?
Yeah, definitely. And then we announced our relationship about 3 months ago. And then he got me to the track of thinking like about playing Korean Dota. The European scene is really difficult for a player like me who I'd say I'm more or less like a pub star, and it's difficult for teams to take a chance on me because I don't have that much of a competitive history. And as a streamer as well, there's a lot of preconceptions about you, because what a lot of people don't understand is when I play a pub game, for the most part, I'm looking to entertain and have fun, but a lot of people think that's like my actual defined skill level. And when you stream a lot, and that's like your first impression people get, then it's hard for them to break out of it. That's not entirely true, because you have guys like Sing Sing, but even he played Han competitively, right? But I started thinking about how Korea would work, and I'm Korean, I haven't seen my family, and they're really great to me since I was like 9. And I was like, I actually kind of want to go back, and this would be the perfect opportunity. I felt really stagnant. Like the stream is going well, but it just feels like a routine, and I want something different.
Kind of like bring it to the next level kind of thing?
I've been a caster, I've been a streamer, and I would like to see like what the entire spectrum is.
So I guess you're gonna leave pretty soon. Do you have any real expectations? Is there like a goal you have set at this point for how you do there?
I know the Korean scene is lacking right now. I fully acknowledge that, but I think that the environment that it leads to, and what I've heard about like the practice schedule and stuff like that, and what we're gonna do, it seems pretty rigorous. And although the competition isn't that great, I think there is an inherent advantage to living with a group of people. And when you're on Skype or event or something with people, and you're trying to tell somebody like, hey, this is exactly what I meant, it's if you actually just show them your screen and like with gestures and all that and talking face to face with them, it's a lot easier to explain a concept and what you want done. And I think that will really accelerate the growth of the skill level. I know they play against like good Southeast Asian teams and do okay. And so I think that like there can be improvement there. When I do go there, I do want to do well. I've been practicing a lot, playing a lot of NEL, playing a lot of matchmaking, which I know like a lot of people look down on, but I still think you can improve through playing matchmaking. So
I mean, it's kind of cool how big Dota's getting in Korea. OGN's doing a thing now. The Nexon stuff is like bigger and bigger, and they've announced like $1 billion for it or whatever. Is that kind of exciting to like you can be at the beginning of something and just kind of see it grow from the inside? Does that seem pretty exciting to you? Yeah,
that was a big thing too. I think it'll be easier too for a Western audience to identify with a player like me that comes from the West. I'm not that like I'm not Dendy or anything, but I know some people do know who I am. So maybe if they weren't interested in the Korean Dota scene before, they'd be like, oh, maybe I'll check out like this league because of that. And I thought that'd be kind of cool to try to bring some attention to the Korean scene, and vice versa. The Korean scene can help me set like my life back on track essentially, so I have like a purpose.
A lot of the Korean players too are really kind of shy on camera. GUM has that really cool double tier booth thing, but whenever they show the players, they're not really doing anything. So what you can do, you can be the guy that makes funny gifs, like dancing or being Dendy or whatever.
A lot of people don't know, but I dance like all the time. You know that, right? I just like spontaneously dance like all the time. It's what I do. It's one of two things I do when I'm nervous.
So what's the other?
See, people are going to think it's that thing, but it's not. Because I told you what it was, but I'm not going to say that because
you don't want it to be on camera?
Yeah. Oh, it's Ellie Goulding, but
they've been playing this song all weekend.
I know, it's awesome. But you know, I do want to bring some personality. I think one of the things that hurts the Korean scene is that they stress this level of professionalism. They feel like being professional and being a good player go hand in hand. Like if you dick around too much, you're not going to be a successful player. But I think you can be a successful player. I mean, look at somebody like if you want to pull out Dendy. Dendy's very, you know...
Very goofy guy.
Yeah, he's really goofy. He's really filled with energy. He goes crazy. I mean, I saw him like pound on the thing at TI2. And I think you can have personality like that and still be a successful player. And on the other end of the spectrum, like players like MC from StarCraft, you can goof off. When it's time to play, you play. But I don't think you always have to be so stoic.
Oz had some really hilarious trash talk this weekend too. He's pretty good at it. Yeah,
I'm gonna try to think of good trash talk. I'm really unwitty, and my trash talk is incredibly lame. But
you gotta think of it and write it down, and they can just pull it out and like do it. You know,
not very good.
You gotta speak like in broken English to make people think you're endearing too.
Oh, okay. I feel like that would really help me if I had an accent. But everyone, I remember the first TL interview I ever did. It was like the first interview I'd ever done, and that was like the first time people had seen me.
At IPL, I remember that.
And people were like, what?
So the one last thing I want to talk to you about is you used to play on a team with EGM, and I feel kind of like, I guess you didn't really discover him, but you knew who he was like way before anyone else knew he was good. Do you take like a lot of pride in that? Is that something I feel like that's something you should brag about more, really.
I mean, I know a lot of people are like, they think I brag about my friendship with him and stuff like that, but it's just, I'm really proud of him as a friend more than anything. I think it's really neat that a guy that played on a team that really wasn't going anywhere, no offense to Pulse, and my team as well, we weren't really doing anything, and he goes from that to like winning TI, and this is a guy that like didn't go to college, you know, didn't really like have a lot of aspirations, and for him to do that, I was incredibly proud. I mean, like when he won, that was like the best feeling ever. I like couldn't stop gushing about it. So sorry if I'm obnoxious about it. But
dude's crazy good, and you knew it before anyone else did. You're the first guy who told me he was good.
I took him out. I was like, I rang for Pulse, and I was like, this is the guy I want if I make a team. And I was like, hey, leave this team, come make a team with me. And he's like, okay. And I'm really glad that he did that, and that he recognized like that he deserved better, and he was going to be like a really world-class player.
Did he buy you pizzas after the International? I remember you saying he was going to buy you a bunch of pizza.
Right after the International ended, I know Alex Garfield took them out to eat like a super expensive dinner, and then they came to the after party. He took one shot, came outside, and took me and my girlfriend out to just eat a private dinner between the three of us. How sweet is that, though?
That's awesome.
The guy like just won $1 million, and instead of like
more than $1 million.
Yeah, and instead of like doing anything else, he decides to spend it with friends. Like I really respected that. There's some people that, like you said, esports changes them, right? Like they get that celebrity culture, but you never get that idea with EGM.
So I think it's about time to start wrapping it up. Do you want to
show my shirt?
Yeah. Do you want to?
I don't know if that shows.
Shout out to Purge.
Shout out to. Oh, so I do shout outs?
Yeah. You want to? Anything finally you want to say? You want to talk to your fans? Give a message?
Yeah. Thank you from the bottom of my heart to every single person that's ever supported me, that's left a kind message, that's left anything on any message board saying something kind. I'm one of those people with like that need for everyone to like. I have a really fragile ego, so I always like type in my name into search bars and stuff like that. And when somebody says something nice, it like immediately brightens up my day. It makes me feel so good when somebody says they want to spit down my throat. So thank you so much for messages like that. I know a lot of people, people say stuff like, oh, it means a lot, but it truly does mean like the world to me. For a guy who's kind of shy and weird and awkward, for people halfway across the world to care about him, to like feel like they should leave him a message just to say something nice, even though I might not read it, that means the world to me. Thank you to all my friends, everyone back home at EGM, Corinne, Purge, Kevin, Kawa, LD, Gods, Merlini, Lumi, Lawrence, everybody that supported me, my sister, my mother. It was people like that that really helped me get my start in the Dota community, and for that, I'm ever thankful for you guys.
about do it. Thanks.